Turn me up, family. Turn me up. We got a great show for you today. Welcome to the Only Facts and Stats show, where we stick to the facts. So today, I like to say, peace and love to you, family. Welcome back to the Only Facts and Stats show. So we want to cut through all the noise. We just want to stick to the facts at all times, right? I'm your host, Mr. Only Facts and Stats. And as always, I don't come with the gossip. I come strictly with facts, stats, and the truth. So before we dive into today's powerful discussion, let me give you a little reminder of who you're talking to. See, I'm not somebody who just an outsider commentator on the justice system. No, I'm someone who lived inside of it. 19 and a half years fighting a murder conviction from 1997 that was later overturned and reversed by the Sixth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Salute to them for standing up for justice as unconstitutional and illegal conviction, and still having to fight after that. And that's facts. I was there and I lived it during that time. I was a very active member of the Folks Nation, and I stood on principles. I stood on solidarity my entire time. I can definitely say that I aided and assisted all those righteous members and non-members to be productive and positive people. And to this day, I stand strong for the freedom of the chairman, Mr. Larry Hoover, and for all political prisoners and every man and woman whose voice has been silenced or by a broken system. But today, we got to talk about something very serious that's happening right now. So I don't know if y'all know this, right? But one of our well-known figures from our community is having an issue, right? Once again, he is in the news, and he is very likely fighting for his life. He is Mr. R. Kelly. So, the situation involving R. Kelly, you've seen the headlines, I'm sure, that R. Kelly's attorneys are fighting to get him released to home confinement. But why? Do we know why? Because he's under an active threat, a proven active threat by a well-known organization that we all are aware of, either through media or firsthand knowledge, the Aryan Brotherhood. So let's break it down. As always, I am only facts and stats. So let's get to the facts of what's happening. R. Kelly, whose government name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, one of the most accomplished musical artists of all time. And let's not forget that we're talking about a man who redefined R&B. Over 75 million records sold worldwide, multiple Grammy Awards, timeless hits like I Believe I Can Fly, Bump and Grind, the Ignition remix. We can all say that somebody that made a baby listening to R. Kelly, right? I don't even have to name the catalog. Y'all already know. When it comes to his writing, he is undisputed. The man is arguably the greatest hit writer in the history of music, and I put him against anybody. But despite that legacy, we know what's happened in recent years. R. Kelly is sentenced currently to a 30-year prison term after being convicted in 2001 on federal charges of racketeering and sex trafficking in the Eastern District of New York. And on top of that, he received an additional 20-year sentence in the city of Chicago from the state of Illinois um, on federal court charges of child pornography and enticement. Very, 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 very concerning. Those convictions, very. Some of those sentences were being served concurrently, some consecutively, right? So now, let's not sugarcoat it. The accusations against him are serious, right? But R. Kelly has consistently proclaimed his innocence. Let's not forget that. See, his attorneys have argued that he's been railroaded by a system that wanted to take him down. A system that, as many of us know, is quick to demonize the black man. And it also uses the media to fuel public perceptions before a fair trial can even be had. So Jennifer, Ms. Bo Jean, one of his attorneys, has been very vocal, right? She said that much of the case against him was built on false testimonies and manipulated narratives. And now the man's very life is at risk while sitting behind those walls, fighting those charges. So let's get to why this emergency request for home confinement is being made right now. So, according to court filings, Mr. Kelly defense team has credible intelligence that surfaced that the Aryan Brotherhood, one of the most violent and powerful white supremacist prison gangs operating inside the federal system, has targeted Mr. Kelly. But why? That part remains unclear. But inside the system, politics, alliances, and power plays can put anyone at risk, especially the high profile inmates. These threats aren't theoretical. We're talking about verified threats to his physical safety. The Aryan Brotherhood is responsible for countless murders inside and outside of the walls. So when they mark you, it's not a game. Ms. Bogine has also filed an emergency motion with the court, arguing that the Bureau of Prisons has failed to guarantee his safety and that alternative confinement, namely home confinement, is now the only way to ensure his survival. Now, I need y'all to hear me on this. When you inside and a group like the Aryan Brotherhood wants you gone, it's not a matter of if, but when. The system is built to turn a blind eye. The COs don't care. The administration don't care. The government does not care. Too many brothers have lost their lives while the courts play chess with their safety, and it has to stop, you know? So I'm gonna break for a brief intermission, and I just want to say that we have to take this seriously, you know? We got to take it seriously, y'all. All right, family. So now getting back now, so we got to think about this. So they filed to request his release, right? Just to recap, you know, we talked about Mr. R. Kelly and his musical greatness. Also about the current threat to his life from the Aryan Brotherhood, and his attorneys acknowledging that threat have filed to have him released um, from from prison, but to remain incarcerated in the form of house arrest, right? So, but what's the what's the reality for him right now, right? So, will his motion possibly be successful? So, in the federal system, the court, right, they have authority under the First Step Act and compassionate release laws to modify sentences under extraordinary and compelling circumstances, right? R. Kelly's attorney are essentially arguing that his death would serve no purpose under these extreme conditions, especially if the government cannot protect him. Now, what's the problem? The system rarely moves fast, and it rarely shows mercy, especially to someone who has been demonized as Mr. Kelly has. However, we're not talking about the legal guilt or innocence right now, right? We're talking about the Constitution's guarantee against cruel and unusual punishment. The Eighth Amendment to the Constitution is supposed to protect all of us, but in particular, it protects prisoners from being placed in conditions where their very lives are at risk, right? But whether the courts will act on that in time, that remains to be seen. We've seen other high-profile inmates get compassionate release for far less serious threats. And let's be real, the Aryan Brotherhood putting a hit or what's commonly referred to a green light out on you is as serious as it gets, right? In prison, don't get no more serious than that. But is it likely? I got to speak personally. As someone who spent 19 and a half years fighting a case that was unconstitutional, illegal, and in every way possible, a demonization of myself, I know firsthand what it feels like to have the freedom taken from you. I know how the system plays politics with people's lives. And I know how real the threats are when you're inside of there. And it ain't a movie, you know, blood in, blood out. And, what's the other one? Damn, I can't remember the other one, but they can't show you what life is, it's life or death every day in there. But when I hear people say, well, he deserves what he gets, I need you to stop for a second and think about recently what happened with Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez was recently viciously assaulted, almost died on a case that we now know for sure is untrue. He is, for sure, we know, illegally and wrongfully convicted of a crime that he did not commit. So due process, fairness, and justice aren't supposed to be selective. And no man, guilty or innocent, should be forced to serve a death sentence that was never handed down by the court. R. Kelly has maintained his innocence from day one. Whether you believe him or not, the man deserves to live, period. And what of the parents that fed their daughters to R. Kelly? Think about that. As long as his bank account was flush, he did what he did in life as he chose. Nobody had a word with him. But as soon as Bobby Womack said, as soon as his money got low, he had a friend and no place to go, right? What about the many people that he fed for years and the good he's done? Should none of this be considered? I think it should. I think that the things that he's done in life positive should also be considered, and that he is a human being. We should protect his life under all circumstances. He has not done a crime for which he has been sentenced to death. I am not I'm not in disagreement of capital punishment. But I believe in a stricter level of proof than is commonly, desired by courts today. But I'm gonna wrap it up. So where do we go from here? R. Kelly's attorney have put the ball in the court's hands. The threats are real. The time is ticking. And like so many before him, his life is in danger, not because of the charges, but because of who he is. And the politics inside of prison. I mean, I stand today in support of R. Kelly. I stand today in support of Mr. Larry Bernard Hoover, just like I stand for every political prisoner trapped in an unjust system. And I today say, free Larry Hoover, free all political prisoners, free them all. But I also, as politically incorrect as I can say it, free R. Kelly. This has been Only Facts and Stats. If you value the truth over narrative, subscribe, like, share, stay tapped in, and I'll be back soon with more real talk. Until then, stay safe, stay sharp, and always stick to the facts.